Oh, hey guys, what's up?
Okay. Hello, spook dudes and spookettes. Sorry, that was lame. It's Mel, aka Baby Girl, today, and we're back with some more spooky content, okay? We're gonna watch it together. We're gonna not get too scared, because we got each other's backs. You know what I'm saying? So, the first video here. It's like, I was watching it, I'm like, at first I thought, whoa, I don't know if this is gonna be spooky content. I don't know what you're thinking here. But I thought it was going somewhere else. But actually it wasn't. She's just a little gal. And she said that she saw black people, but she meant like shadow people. But you can see how I thought maybe we couldn't post this one. You know what I'm saying? But, children are more sensitive than adults are with entities and things like that. So they're obviously going to notice it thinking like, duh, where are you? Do you not see this? You know what I'm saying? And as adults, we're just like, because a lot of times as adults, we'll close off our minds to that kind of thing unless you do a lot of meditation and a lot of working with yourself and how you perceive things, and not to be so closed off to what could be in the world, And there's got to be a paranormal with what I've experienced in my life. I have no questions. But do you like my headband, you guys? I think it's super cute. I got the spiders going on. I got the spider earrings going on. I'm fly as hell today.
What is the creepiest thing your kid has ever said to you?
Well, I was in bed with my 3-year-old reading her a bedtime book, and she said, here are those black people. I'm like, what black people? She's like, the black people with the red eyes, right there. And she points, and I look, and I say, there's nobody there. And she says, you can't see them? I'm like, no. And she's like, they're right there. I'm like, what are they doing? She's like, there's a line of them. They're just walking by and disappearing into the wall. They come every night. You really can't see them? I mean, she's 3.5. She was flabbergasted that I couldn't see them. I immediately ripped that child up, put her in my bed, and then I slept with the full light, not a nightlight, a full light for over 4 years. I mean, and she continued to see them until she was about 5 or 6, and she still remembers seeing them to this day.
Oh, where are your candy bags? And what are you supposed to be?
Oh my gosh, every time I've been to Arkansas has tried to keep me. I don't know why. I mean, I don't know any reason why it would happen, but every time I go there, I get so lost that I end up having to ask for directions on how the hell to get the hell out of there. Drives me nuts. Anyway. Yes, but Bill Clinton is from Arkansas. Yes, he is. I'd not have sexual relations with that woman. Excuse my accent. It's terrible, probably. They used to call me Yankee in Mississippi because, they said I had an accent. Of course, I don't think I do, but I think they do, but they don't think they do. So that's how it works. Now, this video, this is a 3-parter because she kind of takes a little bit to get going with the story. So, but just listen, hear her out, because it does end up good on the 3rd video. But, if you don't watch the context of the first 2, then you're not going to quite understand what she's talking about in the 3rd one, so I have to show you all of them. If you know what I'm sizzling. I've worked at restaurants all of my adult life. Since I started working, I worked at restaurants. And I am a server, bartender, mostly serving though. I've even managed full front of the house restaurants. I love it. I do usually like to do dinner and cocktail type restaurants, you know what I mean? And I have done really elegant work, and I've also done, like bar and grill. And where I was going with this, I can't remember. I mean, I guess I do it because I love people, and they don't always love me, but I love them. And the last restaurant that I worked at, actually, like, a lot of people passed away in that restaurant. So, I mean, like, I guess what I was getting at is, like, hospitality type places, they end up having a lot of trauma, like drama events especially, and, even sometimes death. And, like, the last restaurant I worked at, like I was saying, I feel like it was cursed because, like, literally someone actually passed away on the toilet. I thought they were joking, and they were dead serious that someone literally passed away while they was taking a dang dump. Can you believe that? That's like gotta be the absolute worst, most humiliating way to go.
Tell me a ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable but is entirely...
I was gonna try to wait till October, but I just absolutely can't. Let's tell a ghost story. Okay, so I don't know if you guys have heard of the Basin Park Hotel. It is in Eureka Springs. It became very popular because it was built on top of these healing waters. It was built in 1905. It was literally built on the side of a mountain. Very, very, very popular, right in the middle of downtown Eureka Springs, Arkansas, people, Arkansas. Now, back in the day, the owner, Joe Parkhill, I think his name was, he did a lot of things that were against the law. It was during Prohibition, a lot of gambling, slot machines. He served alcohol, and apparently he had a lot of mobsters there. So naturally, a lot of shit went down. Fast forward to last year during Halloween time, I decided to take my son and I to a haunted house, and Eureka Springs isn't too far away. And I also want to clarify, I am was very much a non-believer, skeptic. You could not change my mind. I've been to plenty of like different haunting things, loving Halloween, taken pictures, got nothing, saw nothing. But we were getting in the spirit last year. So I was like, let's go, love Halloween as much as me. Like, let's do this. And so we got in our car and headed to Eureka. So the Basin Park Hotel in Eureka Springs has ghost tours every Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And the Fridays and Saturdays, they're at midnight, which is super cool, right? Because I have a preteen and he's like, oh, I can stay up late. And it was really cool for him. So I picked him up from school. We headed out. We were going to the Friday night midnight tour. So when we get there, it's like 6 o'clock. I go, I check in. They were super, super nice. But we ended up being on the 3rd floor, which if you go do your research on this stuff, the 307, I think, the room 307 is supposed to be like the most active room in the hotel. Thank God we did not get that room. But we were, I think, 305, which I want to know, like 305 was like a weird room. Maybe it was 303. I don't remember. It's right off the elevators and you're not like in the hallway. It's like catty corner. So right off the bat, red flag. It's like a weirdly laid out room. It's not in the hallway. You're like angled to get in the hallway. So we have the key. It's like old school. We have the key, we unlock, we go in, and I am not gonna lie to you, like the vibes of this like room were not cool. And maybe that's their intention, right? Because like the lights were very dim. It's very old school. The bathroom is very, very dim as well. It's very cold. We put down our stuff. I wouldn't say anything's crazy, but again, let's note this. My son saw something on a YouTube channel to bring a deck of cards, and he thought that it was really cool because this hotel and the ghosts that were in it were, gamblers and like mobsters, and they played cards, and he thinks he's going to communicate with spirits with this deck of cards. And I'm like, whatever, do what you got to do, bring them, it's fine, and nothing's going to happen. I'm hungry. Can we like wrap this up? So he has his cards, he takes them out of his bag, he sets them down. We have our stuff out, we kind of like lay out whatever, unpack a little bit. And head out for dinner. We wrap up in the room, and again, his card case are neatly stacked next to the TV on the console, and we are ready to go eat dinner. We were going to go out, and we decided to stay in. They have a cute little restaurant on the 5th floor. There's a balcony. It overlooks the street. It was perfect weather. The sun was like setting. It was just really adorable. And we spent all of dinner Googling like guest accounts, asking the staff, the waitress, the bartender, just their encounters, which was really fun to hear. And he's getting all hyped up, and I'm like, meh, either it happened or it didn't. I don't know at this point. I'm just along for the ride. But it was really nice dinner. And we finish eating. It's time to go back downstairs. I need to put away like sunglasses, things like that, because it's starting to get dark. And I'm like, oh God, I need to drink coffee because we have to be up till midnight, for this tour. We go back downstairs to the room, and I am almost out of time. So like, follow, and I will be making a part 2 shortly. Are we ready for part 2? Today's episode is brought to you by the most adorable little microphone I have ever purchased or used. I feel very special and important with my microphone. So we recently left off after dinner at the Basin Park Hotel, where we were headed back down to our hotel room so that I could put up any sunglasses, extra things that I didn't want to haul around for the ghost tour at midnight that night. So we go back down to the 3rd floor. Again, our room is right off the elevator, kind of catty corner, not a normal room in a hallway like you would expect any other hotel room to be. And the weird thing is when we walked in was that the fan was on and the bathroom door was shut, which I'm a weirdo and I would never shut a door to a hotel room because, again, I'm a weirdo and I want to see everything when I walk in. It's like I'm a little paranoid. And also, I'm always cold. I would have never turned on the fan. The AC was barely on. Like, I set that thing to like 78. I'm basically an old person. The fan was on. The bathroom door was shut. I know I used the bathroom before we left for dinner, but I would not have shut the door on the way out. So weird, but maybe I did. I don't know. I put down all my stuff. We're like, how are we going to kill 2 hours? It's only 10. How are we going to kill 2 hours and wait for this ghost tour? If we stay here, I'm 100% going to fall asleep. So we decided to go up to the game room upstairs. That's right next to the restaurant and bar. The bar connects the game room to the restaurant. Perfect location. I can get a beer. We can play some games, kill some time before the ghost tour. We get in there, and there's one other, I think it was a little boy and a little girl. Anyway, they're going on the ghost tour too. It was not crowded. Everyone was in there playing shuffleboard. They had some board games out. It was very peaceful, but it was a little eerie. Like, we were the only ones in there. It's a pretty big room, and it's like a library style. Tons of books, 2 doorway openings, right? So like one's going into the bar, one's going into the restaurant. My son nothing fazed him. I was creeped out. So naturally, when you're creeped out, you go get a beer. I go into the bar area that is surrounded in windows, which immediately I get my camera out and say, this is the perfect time to take pictures, right? Reflections, maybe I can catch a ghost because, I don't believe in them. And I start snapping away while I'm in line to get a beer. The 2 hours goes by so fast. Done. It's time for the ghost tour. We head up there a little bit early. We get off the elevator. It is pitch black. Nobody is up there. Again, we're early, so understandable. When you get off the elevator, you can either go left or right. You're in this little in-between area where you could enter the ballroom, or you go into this greenhouse area and then onto the roof. So we're like, okay, cool, let's like start taking pictures, and we're just kind of hanging out in this little area. And out of the corner of my eye, I see something like in the ballroom, like walk past the door. And I'm like, oh, that must be the tour guide. So we start walking like towards the double doors, and immediately when we turn to walk, the elevator opens and it's the tour guide. And she's like, oh, hey, you guys are the first ones here. And we're like, I think like there's some people setting up in the ballroom. So we go and we walk in. There is no one there. And I look at my son and he looks at me. It's like, I know that you know that we saw. Okay, maybe it's a shadow, but here we go. And naturally, I'm running out of time. So please like, follow, share. Part 3 is where it's going to get good.
A few moments later.
Part 3 coming at you from a cozy bed. So let's recap a little bit. We are in Eureka Springs at the Basin Park Hotel, where my son and I are about to go on the midnight ghost tour. We were the first people upstairs in the ballroom where we saw a shadow, where we only assumed it was people setting up. It was not. So fast forward a couple minutes, and they have the chairs and the presentation set up for the beginning of the tour. They then hand out these EVP machines, which read energy, which will signify a presence when you are around the ghost or whatever. We start in the ballroom, which, cool, we're already there, but they have this doll that's set up, and apparently there is a little girl that haunts the ballroom that is attracted to this little doll. It's very Victorian Creepers Annabelle-ish. But naturally the kids go crazy, right? So they're all in this circle with the doll in the middle. Some people are getting reads, like beeping. You can walk around. There were several people were getting hits around tables, under tables. Meh. It was okay. The kids loved this part. Again, the ballroom is surrounded in windows. So I'm just walking around taking pictures because I'm still on this high from seeing a shadow, knowingly seeing a shadow, and then no one being in there. So afterwards, we go back towards the elevator and you enter this green room, which then takes you up onto the roof, where they tell you the story about someone falling off the roof. It was about lovers, maybe. And there's supposedly like a bride and then maybe a gentleman that's up there haunting it. It's this whole spiel. Besides it being like, you can see the side of the mountain and it just goes down and down and down and down. Like, it's a long drop. So it's a little creepy, right, in and of itself. But it wasn't like I felt much until we got on the stairwell to go downstairs. Now, when you get in the stairwell to head downstairs, it's tight. And there was quite a bit of people, so maybe that's why it felt tighter than normal. But all the doors have like a glass window. So again, I'm taking pictures. Everyone's going down in a single file line. There's a lot of other people taking pictures as well. And where do we go? We stop on the 3rd floor. So we come out of the stairwell, only to see my room, front and center. And I look at my son, and my son looks at me, and they start to tell us that about the floor being the most active, along with room 307, which is not our room, but we are on the same floor. And about the gentleman ghosts who you will hear walking up and down the hallways at night. And the reason why it is the most active is because he is known to pull the covers off guests and pull on their feet, touch their arm, sink the bed. Very active, more poltergeisty, if you will. So I'm like, okay, so we are on the most active floor. Fine. I don't believe in ghosts, right? I don't believe in ghosts. But if you tell me that there is a chance that someone is going to touch my foot or pull my covers in the middle of the night, I immediately start to panic. I've seen enough movies where we're borderline, like, not, I'm not okay. I'm not okay with this. We carry on. We start walking down the hallway, and me and my son have not got an EVP read at all up to this point. And we pass our door and turn the corner, and his goes ballistic. Beep, 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 like crazy ballistic. And we are still on the wall of where our room would be. So naturally, thoughts start flooding my head. Like, my feet are going to get touched tonight. What am I going to do? Like, what happens if something happens? This is obviously like a sign. What is happening? And then we get down to the end of the hallway and we look at the mirror and there's a little child handprint on it. Which, cool. There's kids staying at the hotel, but this hand is very, very, very tiny, like a little baby hand. And again, my little reader starts going nuts.
I have to head out to brunch, guys, so stay tuned for part 4. There's some doozies in it. Like, follow, and I'll see you soon.
Sweeney here. Got the old Blackmagic camera, brand new camera, which I'm very happy with. Of course, I'm rocking out a new lens today, which I love.
Now, we should never ever feel ashamed of our own stories, right? Like, we all have our own stories that are important to us for whatever reason. You know, so nobody should ever, like, downplay someone's story or downplay anyone's trauma, of course, or anything like that. You know what I mean? But, you know, this poor lady, she feels very, very, like, ashamed of her encounter. But I liked her story, so I was like, I'm going to tell it. I'm going to put it in here. Because I feel like it's just really sweet. You know what I mean?
I'm so embarrassed to tell this story to you guys, and I've been avoiding it because it's ridiculous, and you're going to think I'm so stupid for being scared of this still as an adult, but something happened to me when I was a little kid, and I'm ready to tell it. It is one of the scariest things that has ever happened to me. You're going to think I'm nuts, but I heard a noise in my bathroom the other night that reminded me of this, and I thought, okay, so somebody telling me that it's time to tell this story. I was a kid. My dad was a custodian at a law firm, so in the summers, I got to go with him. Now, the law firms open during the day, so he worked overnight. I would spend my time watching all these magical shows on Nick at Night, like Bewitched and The Munsters and I Dream a Genie. In the basement of this place was the break room, or like the snack room, and it had the vending machines. So I would go down there to get a snack. There was a skeleton in this break room, and it was because they were using it for trial, but as a kid, like, a skeleton is spooky. This is to say, like, I was in a vulnerable state when I came home. After he finished working and it was still dark, we would go home, and on trash day, I would stand on the porch because the door was always locked and wait for my dad to take the trash down. Now, I'm going to say it's like 2 blocks away, even though we're in the middle of nowhere in the Appalachian Mountains. So there are no blocks. It's just the distance of like what 2 city blocks would be. So I stand on the porch. My dad goes down to take the trash down. The porch is a concrete block, and the first room in the house is our playroom. So I felt very safe in that room. I was not scared of that room. I'm standing there on the porch waiting for my dad to get back, and the door opens on its own. I'm like on the verge of laughing at myself for this, and also like being very scared. The door opens and I hear a single quack. And I know how stupid this sounds. Why has a quack haunted you for like 3 decades? This is like a quack that is not a toy. It is quack, like an actual duck. It's a single quack. But I know in my child mind, it was not a duck. There was not a duck in my playroom. Whatever it was trying to make me think it was a duck so that I would go in there, play with it. I don't know what it wanted me to do, and I didn't want to stick around to find out. It was kind of dark outside. My dad wasn't there. My mom was probably asleep. My brother was probably asleep or at my grandparents' house. I was vulnerable, and it was trying to take advantage of me and take advantage of that situation. I was a good kid. I did not break the rules, and I was not allowed to go past the mailboxes. And I booked it past those mailboxes. I was like, I am out of here. I ran to my dad. I loved that house. I still have fond memories of it. I can remember the kitchen. I remember it feeling like home, but I also remember there were these creatures, the maker of the duck sound being one of them. It seems to me that my ghosts now are human. I don't feel like they're trying to pretend like there's something else to try to get me to do things that they want me to like manipulate me. And I feel like that's what the one that made the duck sound was trying to do. Even as an adult, looking back, I know it was wrong, and I'm proud of myself for not playing with the duck, because when I was a kid and there was an animal, you bet I was going to play with it. So I'm proud of myself for the instinct that I had to know that was wrong and scary. I don't ever want to be put in that position again. I don't ever want to hear an actual quack. I don't talk about this a lot. I mean, probably 5 or 6 people have heard of this story from me before. I don't want to just completely lay it to rest. I would like to know, is whatever made that duck sound the same entity as the other creatures that I saw in that house? It's out. I said it. I'm gonna be scared for a couple days, and hopefully my ghost will take it easy on me.
Oh, yes. Now, the Appalachian Mountains. Have you guys ever been to the Appalachians? Have you ever heard horror stories from the Appalachians? Well, the Appalachian Mountains are very eerie, very scary from what I know. Skinwalkers apparently around there and all kinds of stuff. So, I've never been there, but I'd love to check it out and maybe do an investigation out in the Appalachian Mountains, because I feel like it would probably get crazy. Because I've heard some of the craziest ghost stories, and I have a couple in this compilation today. Now, she's even got a machete, and I'd still be scared, even with a machete. Because, I always fear, whatever weapon you bring with you to protect yourself is going to end up getting used on you.
Come on to you.
Seems like it would be too easy to bring your own. So, if someone already has one, it's already provided. I mean, they might as well. And she just keeps praying, which isn't a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to pray during these things. But it's like, if they're just ghosts or they're just spirits hanging around there for whatever reason, I don't think the prayer's necessarily going to help too much. I don't know. I could be wrong.
I'm going to share with you my true Appalachian horror story. It is the scariest paranormal experience I've ever had in my life, of which I have had many. So, basically, I didn't follow the rules exactly. Some years ago, we decided to go on a camping trip with my husband and I, and then 2 friends who were also a couple. So it was like the couple's camping trip of the weekend. We were going to leave on a Friday, come back on a Sunday, and we decided to go to Panther Town. We went there, and we wanted to get there early in the day. My husband had one of the GPSs that he had used in the Army, and our cell phones weren't working. And he was able to, we were just walking. We had no idea where we was going, no plan. And he was tracking our progress on his GPS. It was mapping it out so we'd be able to get back to the car. So you park at the bottom in this parking lot, and then you just start hiking. Well, we ended up off trail, just going through all different areas of granite, and then some wet areas, and really thick areas of really tall weeds, and then trees. Well, the female of the other couple had ran really late that day, so we got there about an hour before the sun started going down. This was primitive camping, so we were carrying everything that we were taking camping on our persons. However, the other couple, they bought a giant cooler with tons of ice and had marinated steaks, corn, baked potatoes. They weren't cooked yet. All kinds of food. Had made sandwiches. It's not how me and my husband do it, but whatever. It was super heavy. So we had to leave that in the car. So all 4 of us start camping. Hiking. We hiked for 5 miles. It became obviously completely dark. Could not see. So me and the other female kind of stopped for a minute, and my husband and his friend went and found the spot that we were going to make camp in. I don't know why they decided to pick that spot. They just found a spot and was like, all right, this is good. So we went. It was completely covered in just weeds and very tall weeds and everything. But our food and the wood that we were using for our fire was back in the car. So it was decided that that cooler was so heavy. It was going to take probably all of us, but definitely at least 3 of us, to bring the cooler back to the campsite, along with the wood and a couple other little things we left behind. So it was decided that I would stay and make camp for all of us while they hiked 5 miles back to the car, then 5 miles back with all our stuff, which took even longer because we called that the cooler of death. It was unbelievably heavy, no wheels, which wouldn't have mattered anyway because of the terrain. So I stayed by myself. There's the first mistake. I was by myself, way out in the Appalachian Mountains, in an area I had never been before, I was not familiar with. It was completely dark. There was no cell phone signal. And we had that one GPS, which my husband had to use in order to get back to the car and then get back to me. So I stay there with my machete, my bags. Before they left, they helped me hang some lanterns, camping lanterns, from trees right there in this area. So I proceeded to use the machete and start whacking away the weeds. I did this forever and ever and ever. And I remember thinking, like, it kept sparking when I'd hit the machete on the ground. And I'm like, dang, it's like super rocky right here. Like, I don't know. It's crazy. So there was crickets. There's katydids. There's frogs. You heard all of it. All of a sudden, all the noise stopped. Everything. It was complete silence. And there were no people around us. We were not in a typical campsite. I don't know where we ended up to this day. But it was still in Panther Town. All the sound stopped. Like, it was deafeningly quiet. Then I felt all the hair raise up on the back of my neck, my arms, my cheeks. Got the most eerie feeling ever. Then I heard some whistling. Very, very quiet. You couldn't tell where it was coming from. If it sounds like it's far away, it could be right beside you. If it's right beside you, sounding like it could be really far away. Just heard a little bit of whistling. Well, quickly, I knew I was in trouble because I could not calmly walk away because where am I going to walk to? I don't know where to go. We're not on the trail. I would have ended up completely lost in those mountains with no one to find me, no way to track me. So all I could do was I got calmly up, I put the machete down, and went and just hunkered beside a tree, just sat there. And I did not look in the trees. I did not look around. I did not whistle back. I didn't speak. And I just closed my eyes as if nothing was wrong. And I prayed hard. And then I heard, this is the most terrifying part. I heard what sounded like hundreds of voices all at once in the air, just circling around my head. It was like I was in the middle of a vortex full of voices. I could hear men, I could hear women, I could hear children. I could hear them talking, but it was like when you're in a loud room and you hear a ton of people talking and you can distinguish male from female from children, but there's so much chatter you can't really make out what anyone is saying. That happened. And of course, I was more scared, but all I could do was just remain calm, pretend not to be scared, and pray even harder. I was trying not to tense up. I was just acting as if I was just calmly sitting beside this tree. I did hear my name more than a couple of times. I didn't open my eyes. I didn't answer back. I didn't move. I just kept praying. This lasted for a good 30 minutes. Terrifying. I mean, it felt like 20 hours. But eventually, it stopped. Now, right after it stopped, I heard what sounded like rocks being thrown. And they were being thrown kind of in a 180-degree area around me, so not all in a circle around me. But I just kept sitting there with my eyes shut, praying, not saying anything. That stopped after probably about 5 minutes. And then maybe about 5 minutes later, the sound came back. So I heard the crickets, I heard the katydids, I heard the frogs. So I just kept sitting there and I kept praying, just acting like nothing was wrong. And once all this was over, I proceeded to finish hacking down the weeds. I didn't have many more to go. I had to make enough room for both of our tents and a fire pit. Well, I dug up a bunch of rocks because they were right on the surface, and I started digging a hole to make our fire pit. By the time I was finishing the fire pit, my husband and our couple friend, they got back. Well, you also don't talk about it. You're not supposed to talk about it if anything does happen, which is not all the time, of course, and some people have never experienced anything, but you don't talk about it till you get home, completely away from that situation, that area. So I couldn't tell anyone about it. Nothing else weird was happening while they were there to experience with me. So I just had to go along with putting up the tent, getting in it that night, sleeping. We stayed Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday, and put everything up. Got home, then I told my husband what had happened. So I had to go all weekend, having had that experience in the exact spot we were at the whole time, without telling anyone. So I do not recommend that you ever go out without a GPS and a whistle and good lights by yourself, period. Do not get separated from your group. I knew better. We know better. But, whatever. Don't do what I did. And make sure that if something happens, whether it's a creepy Appalachian paranormal thing, or a wild animal, or a crazy person that happens to be out there, make sure you know how to get back to your car.
Always, 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 always tell people where you're gonna be when you go out by your dang self, dang. I mean it. I am sick and tired of hearing about people going missing, getting hurt, and no one knew where they were going. You gotta tell people what's going on. As much as you want to stay private, things like that, people should know where you're gonna be, especially if you're going out hiking in Appalachian freaking mountains. Is that what I said?
I said what I said, and
always.
I'm not changing on it, okay? I said what I said. It ain't changing over here.
Why I never backpack solo on the Appalachian Trail. So this happened last year in Virginia, and is also the reason I never backpack alone anymore. I was taking summer courses at the time, and we ended up with a 3-day weekend in June, so I thought it was a great time to go explore some of the Virginian wilderness. I did a Google search, found a state park with a trail that looked nice, and let my roommate and family know the trail I was going to be on. When I got close to the park area, I saw a little outdoor shop where people hiking the Appalachian Trail stop. I went in to grab a map of the area just in case I got lost. As I was talking to the owner, he mentioned a trail that's not well known that has a pretty cool waterfall and swimming hole. This piqued my interest, so I had him show me on the map. It took me outside the state park, but he said it was a great place to go. I paid for the map and thanked the owner. I texted my roommate and parents about the new trail, and I parked my car and set off on my adventure. I should note that the waterfall was going to be a side trip from my journey. I was planning 3 days to nights. I started on part of the Appalachian Trail, and it was pretty packed with people, and some of them were really fun to talk to. As expected, as I got further and further from the main trails, I saw less and less people. Around early afternoon, 3 miles from my destination, I noticed it was unnaturally silent. No birds, no bugs, not even whined, and I had a feeling of being watched. I shook it off as me overanalyzing the situation. I got to the waterfall, and it wasn't as spectacular, but it was cool to look at. Plus, it had a good-size area to swim in, so naturally I stripped down to my skivvies and took a dip. It was pretty refreshing. As I was getting my clothes back on, I started whistling to myself. It was Chill Bill because it was stuck in my head. That's when I heard something whistle the same tune back. I thought it was a bird copying me, so I went back and forth with it, and it'll repeat whatever I whistled. I thought I was pretty neat. As I was setting up camp, I couldn't shake this feeling that I was being watched again, like I'd get goosebumps and my hairs would stand up. As night fell, I built a small fire and lit my jet boil to make dinner. As I did this, I became hyper-aware that again there was no sound, just deafening silence. Some part of my brain was telling me that I'm not safe and to leave. I ignored it and crawled into my tent with my flashlight and book. I went to sleep without incident. When I woke up the next morning, my site was trashed. My camp stool was nowhere to be found. My bear bag with my food was cut down and the contents were thrown across the site. My first thought was a crafty animal chewed through the rope and got at the bag, but I looked at the rope and it was cut with something very sharp. Plus, none of the food was even touched. I also noticed bare footprints all around my campsite. Keep in mind I'm at least 6 to 8 miles from a road. As I was looking at the mess, I heard a branch snap off in the distance. I turned to look in that direction. I saw nothing, but I heard that whistling again, my whistle from yesterday, but it was different. It sounded more sinister. It made my hair stand on end, and this is when I listened to my instincts to get the hell out. It sounded like it was a little off in the distance, so I packed up my camp as fast as I could. The whistling got closer as I finished stuffing the tent into my bag. I didn't bother with putting anything away properly. The whistling was incessant and sounded like it was coming from all directions. I got fed up with the whistling, stood, and I yelled into the woods, "Shut up, and what do you want?" It stopped whistling, and it was quiet for a moment, then it repeated what I said in my voice. It sounded just like me, but distorted, like it came from an old TV. After I heard this, I immediately threw my pack on and ran the direction I came. I heard it moving just behind me, fast switching between the whistle and my voice. It felt like it was toying with me, not coming too close but not being too far. Eventually it sounded like it got further and further away from me. Then it stopped suddenly. When it stopped, I stopped and turned around. I wished I didn't, because I heard the most bone-chilling screech ever coming from right next to me. That's when I started running again. I didn't look, I only ran. They saw the look of terror in my face and asked if that was me that screamed, and asked if I was okay. I told them about what happened, and they decided to not go down where I just came from. We moved to a more populated trail as quickly as we could. As soon as I got back in my car, I drove to one of the park's ranger stations and reported what happened. Since the site was off park grounds, they told me it wasn't in their jurisdiction, but they'll send a ranger to investigate. The ranger station's parking lot run right up to the woods, and when I was getting into my Jeep, I heard the Chill Bill tune coming from woods just in front of me. I never drove so fast in my life. Follow for more horror stories.
I don't know about y'all, but I for sure see a baby. I do. Where in the world will this damn baby go? That's what I want to know. I would be so freaking freaked out if I looked out there and the thing I see is a baby. I mean, whipping out the door so fast to find out what's going on, and then all of a sudden nothing's there, and then it's like mimicking. In the Appalachian Mountains, there's evil, there's malicious, there's stuff waiting, watching, all of it. And a lot of the stories that you hear about how they feel like they're being watched. They feel like, something sinister is out there, whatever the case. You have to be aware of what's going on around you. Don't be so willing to close your mind instead of just being like, okay, keep your mind open to whatever could be there. It doesn't matter if you don't believe in it or not. Just for the time being, while you're there, believe in it, because that's how shit hits the fan.
So, last night, right in my neck of the woods, search and rescue was called out to look for what appeared to be a baby that somebody captured on their security camera. Now, they did what I believe any of us would do, I hope, and that is contact the authorities. So, they came out, did their investigation, and they came to the conclusion that it was just a glitch. Now, I don't know if I'm buying it, but I have gathered all that I could, and I'm going to show you, and just let me know what you think. Alright, here is the original post. Here's a close-up of the baby. And here is the official report. Some more information with the timestamps. And right here you can tell 1 minute apart there's a baby and then poof, no baby. As if this isn't spooky enough, it gets even weirder. Her daughter took this picture and it looks just like the baby. Whoa.
Teeth.
He says, "Don't worry, I'm not a schizophrenic."
Don't judge me.
I thought that was cute. Well, it's like my uncle is a paranoid schizophrenic. He went through hell when he was young because he's in his 70s now. I was born as a oops baby late in my mom's life. So he literally, got naked and threw the coffee table at my grandpa because he thought he was Jesus. I mean, there was a lot. It was a lot. I can imagine. I wasn't around yet, but I can only imagine. I can only imagine when that day comes. Just like I said before, he feels like he's being watched. He hears the whispering. That's another thing too, is they hear people whispering. I've heard that a lot, or voices of some kind.
So, are the Appalachian Mountains really haunted from someone who's been there multiple times over many years? Hell yeah, they are. For reference, here's me as a child in a cabin we had up in the woods. No neighbors around for miles. This was one of our 2 cabins up in the Appalachian Mountains. We no longer own it. As you can see, from me being a kid to a young adult, I have a lot of experience of exploring, traveling, and really weird shit in Appalachia. So one day I was going on a hike in the Appalachian Mountains by myself, and I came along this tunnel, and it's a very long tunnel, as you can see, very dark, and I was like, fuck it, why not? I'm gonna go through it, I want to get to the other side. I shit you not, when I went through it, not only did I feel like I was being watched the entire time, I know it's dark, paranoia, I shit you not, I heard whispers. There were people or things or entities whispering to me. And I'm not a schizophrenic, there's some serious dark shit when you travel deep into Appalachia.
West Dallas, Wisconsin. I literally live 30 to, I think, maybe 45 minutes away from West Dallas. So, I mean, Wisconsin's a very spooky, eerie place, actually. There's a lot of places around here that I know of that I've had experiences at. And you can tell that this video is true just because you can hear the fear in their breathing. You can always tell when someone's really freaked out at how they're breathing, and, their jitters or the quirks that people do in the midst of being afraid. You know what I mean? If a person is not legitimately scared, they're going to be like, oh yeah, I'm so scared. You know what I mean? It's just going to seem so fake. I mean, literally, Wisconsin, it doesn't have anything better to do here. I mean, we basically gorge ourselves on cheese and beer, and the next thing you know, we're going out ghost hunting because we heard a noise. Seriously.
It's going to 45. There's 50. Oh, I got a 50.
I got a reading here.
Okay.
Amateur paranormal investigator Phil Koch has been posting strange captures from his supernatural explorations for 15 years on YouTube.
What the hell was that?
Okay, something just crashed right next to us.
In fact, I've featured Phil's videos on this channel many years ago.
What the hell? Something just moved. Something just moved behind me.
Now, on this particular night, Phil and his teenage son are performing a paranormal investigation in the attic of an allegedly haunted house in West Allis, Wisconsin. And things get weird.
On the floor. So 56? 70? Between
Without them knowing, a voice seems to whisper, "Go outside."
7.
But what happens next shocks them to their core.
It's like 12:30. And I think that it was about an hour since we heard those footsteps coming through here, but I don't know what that was from. What's our average temperature? It's about 37, 38. That's why I'm cold. And I'm getting like a 0.2 all the way through the room. Wait, it's going to 45. There's 50. Well, I got a 50. I got a reading here. Okay. I got a reading here. Okay.
So clearly this young man is unwell. Whatever apparition that he noticed after filming coming down the stairs there, obviously wanted him to know that the presence was there, but not necessarily see it. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes they want you to know they're there.
Please notice me, senpai! Please notice!
But they don't necessarily want to show themselves or make themselves clearly known. So it's almost like confusing him was her best way of defending herself in a way. You know what I mean?
14 years ago, Mark Doty visited a private school in Seattle to use the school's recording studio to lay down a new track. Mark sets up his camera in the school hallway and is about to record a vlog for social media. But for some reason, he just isn't feeling well and is having trouble keeping focused. Eventually, he just gives up. Much later, Mark is going back through the footage that he recorded at the school. What he sees chills him to his core. This is the video.
Okay. I'm not doing this right. Okay. I can't even see myself. I don't know if this is, okay, never mind.
Did you see it? The eerie translucent figure of a woman dressed in a long white gown can just barely be seen walking down the staircase. But as the figure suddenly turns the corner, it becomes very visible. But then, it disappears out of sight. Mark is completely unaware of what's happening right behind him, but for some reason he feels confused and unfocused. Now, it's worth mentioning that Mark has dedicated his social media and YouTube channel exclusively to his music. This 14-year-old footage is the only video on his channel that has anything to do with the paranormal.
I mean, it looks pretty legit to me. What does it take to convince this guy? Obviously, there's an apparition there. I mean, ghostly photos and stuff like that aren't very good photos. So, I mean, that's the best you're going to get, feller. So you might as well, hike your trousers back up and sit. Well, wait, pull your trousers back up. Why were they down? Oh my God. Nope, we're not going to go there. Okay.
This video was caught on a Nest security camera and appears to show a young child playing around the stairs. However, I question the legitimacy of this one. But after watching the video for yourself, what do you think? Leave it in the comments below.
Okay, wanna know what I said while I was watching this video? Whoa, dude. Shit. Yep. That's exactly what I did. You cannot convince me at all that the paranormal doesn't exist. There's just no way, no possible way that it doesn't, especially with what I have experienced. Especially with what I've experienced in my life. There's no way ever at all that the paranormal doesn't exist.
Krugersdorp, South Africa, a real estate agent captured an eerie incident while touring a home for sale. The current status of the property is unknown, but the unsettling event recorded in this video might be a factor deterring potential buyers. Something truly bizarre was caught on camera. After reviewing the video, the real estate agent was completely taken aback to notice an unexpected presence in the house. Although they couldn't recall seeing anyone else inside, the footage suggested otherwise. Upon closer inspection, it seemed that this mysterious figure appeared and then vanished just as quickly.
Is she okay? Like, when you see this video, holy shit, dogs. Like, I may have, or I may not have, but probably did, shit my pants a little just now. Watching this video. Yeah. So, I'm gonna go, I'll be right back, you guys. Okay, I'm all clean. Okay. I'm gonna clean myself up. But you know what? Sometimes shit happens. Oh! God, I can barely hold that one in. I had to say it.
Oh, you nasty.
I kill myself. I mean, I unalive myself. You know that reference, then you know. And I love you.
Guys, I'm home alone. I'm by myself, and there's something at my door, and I don't know what it is. What the fuck? Oh my god. Ah! Oh my god! I'm not gonna let you in! Oh my god. What the fuck is that? What the fuck? What? Oh god! Oh my god. Ah! Please no! Ah!
I bet the ghost is a man and he thinks that you deserve better. You know? And then I bet you this is how everything went down.
You know how I'm a little psychic?
He said, and you probably didn't hear him because he's a ghost and he thinks he can hear him, but not voice, you know? So he was probably saying, you know, you can do better than take the ring off. Take it off. And you didn't listen to him. And so he said, fine, I'm going to turn it around. That's the most logical explanation. You know? I don't know. What do you guys think it is? I mean, that's the most logical to me.
The following eerie video is from a woman. She had stated she had felt something odd with her hand, as if ghostly fingers were touching her, when she looked down and she saw this. Basically, her wedding band being turned completely around, as if by itself. Take a look at this and tell me what you think.
Y'all, I fucking hate elevators. I swear, I really do, especially the little jolt that happens like in the middle of the ride on an elevator, especially if it's a longer ride on an elevator. I can't stand them, and now I've seen this video, so now I just know it. Next time I go get on an elevator, which will be probably tomorrow at my mom's house, I'm not going to be able to do it because I'm a bit too scared, but that's probably a good thing because I probably used to use the stairs, but just when I'm in bad pain, it sucks because I want to get on the elevator and I know I'm going to stand out there and I'll be too scared to get on it. Boy, if you believe that. I love doing these videos. What do you guys think it is? It's a pretty vivid picture. When it comes to ghostly videos, like I said, that's about all you're going to get is that, you know. It doesn't get much clearer than that. Kind of makes my hair stand up a little bit on my arms, you know. Can you see it? Well, actually, no, I shaved my arms. Well, my hair that would have been there, it would have been standing up.
Over the weekend, one of my very good friends, Melissa, sent me a photo of something her dad caught on his security camera outside his house. And when I tell you, my jaw dropped when she texted me this because I was like, there's no way. I'm about to show you it. And I'll let you reflect on it for a second. Because, like, this is one of the most terrifying things somebody I know has caught on camera. Here it is. Take a second, and when you see it, you're gonna freak out because I did. And it was like 8 in the morning. If you still can't see it, I went ahead and took the liberty of circling it for you. What is that? What is that? As you can see, this was taken like at 11 o'clock at night. It wasn't even that late. It wasn't like found this at 3 a.m. on my security camera. Like, yeah, it's late. But still, he said when he got the notification said human motion detected because cameras, some of them can detect if it's like an animal or if it's a human. And his said human motion detected. When he went and saw what it found on the camera, that's what he saw.
What do we got? We got a bonus video. A bonus video. Oh, I'm telling you guys my plans. But oh my god, why would the grandmother tell little Eleanor that? But I guess it rang to be. I guess it rang to be true though, being that she was having a lot of terrible bad luck, especially being sent to an asylum as an 11-year-old girl, I think they said she was. Like, whoa. It's awful. Especially, and also, like she said, in Romania at that. I mean, I don't know the conditions of Romania, so I don't know if it's bad or not, but I'm sure that back then, in the early 1930s, that it wasn't the greatest place to be was an asylum there, but I was always told that when you find dimes on the ground that they were your passed on loved ones, but I don't know how much validity that has to it, you know what I mean?
Did you know that this girl, Eleanor Zugan, was at the centre of one of the most well-documented and compelling poltergeist cases ever recorded? Eleanor was born in a rural village in an area called Talpa in Romania in 1913, and she lived a relatively normal peasant life until she was around 11 or 12. In February 1925, Eleanor found a coin on the road and she picked up the coin and pocketed it. And her cousins were like, don't pick up the coin. That is the devil's coin. It will only bring you bad luck. It's a terrible idea. Don't do it. Now, Eleanor was a girl after my own heart and she pocketed the devil's coin and went and bought sweets with it. Because obviously she's a peasant girl. This is disposable income. She has the chance to gorge herself on sweets that she ordinarily wouldn't get. Of course she's going to spend the money. So when they got home to their grandmother's house, the cousins told the grandmother that Eleanor had found this coin. She had bought loads of sweets and, crucially, she would not share any of them with the cousins. Now, Eleanor's grandmother went berserk. She said that because Eleanor had used a devil's coin to buy these sweets, that the devil was now living inside her and would be inside her forever because of her greed. And this seems to be where all the trouble begins. The next day, the family are sitting around the dinner table when the house is absolutely pelted with stones. The attack increases in intensity, and at one point, half a brick smashes through the window. There was nobody outside that could have perpetrated these attacks, and the family realised that the rocks, pebbles, etc. seemed to be targeting Eleanor. Over the next few days, objects would move of their own accord around Eleanor, and also objects would be thrown at her from across the room, and this was witnessed by her family and by villagers. By this point, the family are terrified and they call in the local priest, and the local priest observes a lot of this activity. He observes that the pebbles that are inside the house that seem to be thrown around are damp, and he believes that they come from a local stream. So he draws a mark on one of the pebbles, puts it back into the stream, and lo and behold, a couple of minutes later, it finds its way through the window back into the house. And the attacks only continued. Objects started levitating, rocks and other items continued to be thrown around, and at this point, Eleanor starts to be physically attacked. So this is an actual picture of Eleanor and scratches, marks that appeared on her face. Furniture moved on its own, windows would shatter in her presence, objects would disappear and reappear in unlikely places, and this was witnessed by multiple people, including the local schoolmaster. Eleanor was eventually sent to a convent where she was subjected to numerous exorcisms. They couldn't do anything for her, so they sent her to an asylum. And at this point, I just want to highlight that the family are doing everything they can, right? As far as they understand. They send her to the priest, they send her to a convent, and they in turn send her to an asylum because nobody knows what to do with her. But imagine being a 12-year-old girl being sent to an asylum in 1920s Romania. It doesn't even bear thinking about. Eventually, this German engineer took interest in the case and got her out of the asylum in order to study her. He died not long afterwards, and Eleanor ended up in the care of this woman who was a countess in Vienna. It does seem like the countess had a genuine interest in Eleanor. She looked after her really well, and they seemed to have a really good bond. The countess was really interested in the paranormal, but she was also really interested in trying to debunk these cases. And she really believed that the things that were happening to and around Eleanor were real. And over a 5-month period, she meticulously documented 3,060 incidents of poltergeist activity. And 884 of those incidents were witnessed by other people too. Harry Price also got involved in this case. Now, if you're big into the world of the paranormal, you will have heard the name Harry Price before. He was a paranormal investigator and he got involved in Eleanor's case, and he too completely believed that it was real. Price brought Eleanor to London in order to study her under lab conditions. And really strange and often horrible things were happening to her. So she would get these bite marks that would appear on her body in places that she couldn't physically reach. Objects would disappear and reappear in strange places, including in like people's pockets and locked drawers, things that just didn't seem to be possible. And here's where this story I think becomes the most interesting. So everything stopped when Eleanor got her first period. No more paranormal activity. Before she went back to Romania, the Countess made sure that she trained as a hairdresser and a manicurist in Vienna. And they actually kept in contact throughout their lives. And Eleanor was married and then she was widowed. And in her later years, the paranormal activity started again. And the Countess believed that it was when Eleanor started menopause. There's actually video footage on YouTube of Eleanor and like the scratches appearing on her face. And if you want to hear the ins and outs of this story, because it is very involved, you can listen to episode 248 of my podcast, Real Life Ghost Stories. It was released on September the 22nd, 2024, and it's just entitled Eleanor Zugan. And there's a lot to unpack with this story. Like, there are people who obviously believe that it was a hoax. There are people who believe that it was, you know, some sort of poltergeist activity. And Harry Price himself speculated that Eleanor's absolute fear of the devil and belief that the devil was inside her after she had eaten those sweets with that coin that she had found led to her creating this poltergeist activity through like psychokinesis. Anyway, it's a crazy story. Go and listen to it.
But that brings us to the end of our video, and it always sucks when I gotta end the video because I just wish I could sit here all night and talk to you guys. Sometimes, like, you know, when I go ghost hunting, when we go to St. Killian's here in Wisconsin and stuff, I'm actually gonna do it live on YouTube, I think, because I think it would be so much better to do it live and be able to interact with everybody in the moment. You know what I mean? I think that would be really cool. So far, I have gotten an EMF detector, and that's it. And of course I have my phone for recording, that kind of thing, and I have my vlogging camera right here that I'm going to also bring. I got my tripod, so I just need like a couple more things and we can get out there, start doing some shit, start talking to some shit, you know what I'm saying? I can really do some shit. It's going to be fun. Okay, I love you guys. Have a wonderful night, and make sure to keep your trousers up and don't be an asshole. I haven't said that in a little while. Have y'all been being have? I will talk to your mother.
Bye, have a great time.
It's caught in the crossfire.